It's that time of the year when people are clearing their year-end leave, and what better way than to do it the Singaporean way, which is to head over to JB, especially when the exchange rate is currently 1 Sing dollar is to 3.5 ringgit. So currently you can see us walking over to our hotel, which is going to be the Fives Hotel at Meldrum, and it's somewhere near the Princess Cove area, and you can access it by the link bridge. First impression is that it's clean, uncluttered and modern. The room itself is completely functional with nothing fanciful. You can see what is provided on the table itself. And also note that there is no wardrobe, but instead you have these wooden pegs on the wall. The toilet itself is also pretty straightforward with simple amenities. Behold the glorious view outside. And it's time for lunch. The selection of books at the reception area also caught my attention because there were a couple of Man Booker Prize winning authors. As always, the cheapest way to get around is just by hailing a Grab. And we actually shortlisted quite a couple of cafes, but we didn't have one in mind, and we decided on the day itself, and here we are ending up at Roast and Coffee. Ordering is as simple as filling in an order sheet and pressing the call button. Unfortunately, as I was feeling under the weather, we could only order one of the top 10 recommendations. Our 2 drinks and 2 mains came up to be 50 ringgit. The drinks were served quite quickly, our teh chin chow as well as an apple orange carrot juice. I ordered the dry mee hoon kueh, which came with fishball, ikan bilis, hei mu'er as well as a very runny yolk, but unfortunately it came with no chicken. It was pretty clumpy, but the sauce was decent. My wife on the other hand ordered the salted egg yolk kampong chicken fried rice, and she said that the rice was very flavorful and the sauce was pretty rich and gao with curry leaves as well as chili padi, but overall it was passable, so our experience there I would rate it a 3.5. Post-lunch, it was time for some aimless wandering, and we were off to see graffiti walls, as well as check out some of the thrift stalls selling men and women's fashion. You know that the entire street has been gentrified and is a hipster enclave when you see a plant stall, and it's clearly catered to Singaporeans as there was a sign telling you that you can bring these plants back across the causeway. We also wanted to visit this Johor Chinese Museum, but unfortunately it was closing very soon, and we'll be back another time. Heading the other direction, we found more graffiti as well as other thrift stores and shops selling delicacies like egg tarts. There was also an entire row of shop houses which had been converted to cafes. We also found a street where there appeared to be commissioned street art, even though it could not stop other people from defacing it by tagging all over the original art. In particular, what I liked most was this painting of Rango. I thought it's a pretty recent film, but turns out that Rango came out in 2011 and Johnny Depp played the titular character. Leaving the main road behind and heading into the back alleys, we found even more street art. And I'm glad that there are such installations when, it's so sparse in Singapore at times. Once we were done, we were going to head back to City Square Mall to look for supplements from the pharmacies, because that is what you do when you and your wife are in your mid-30s. Along the way, a little bit of Planet Earth action with koi, crows and wild dogs, which were sharing food. After some much needed rest, we were headed out to the R&F Mall to look for our dinner. As you can see here, it's still pretty much a ghost town with half of the shops not having any tenants. An attempt was made to have some festive Christmas cheer, but it was pretty much limited to only the first floor. To be fair, I think on the second floor there is Guardian as well as 2 Korean eateries that are operating. Most of the people milling around were also there for the Pasar Malam, with carnival games as well as clothes that were being sold, kiddie rides, the grocery shop, and even this corner that actually had animals for kids to play with. They were not for sale, but you could actually tip them for the upkeep of the rabbits. the ducklings and the chicks. It wouldn't be a pasar malam without the street food, and there was a section dedicated to it. And this place was closer to the waterfront, so thankfully it was pretty breezy. We were still weighing our options, so we just continued to walk around, and we even headed to the inside of the mall, and yeah, truly everything is closed. Eventually, being the boring people that we are, we settled on Burger King. I had the tender grill and my wife had a mushroom single meal. Once dinner was done, we also wanted to check out the supermarket, and this will be the second time that we are here because previously we actually stayed at Princess Cove above, and the rooms are pretty decent, so do check it out on Airbnb. For our supper, we decided that we were going to get Hojian, which was thankfully pretty generous even though we ordered the small portion. But just a note that this is actually a lot more eggs and there's actually not a lot of starch and crispy bits, which I prefer. Well, if you're wondering why is this vlog so short, that's because it was originally supposed to be 2.5 days, but it had to be cut short because my old injury started to flare up. If not, you think I siao, come in on Sunday and go back on Sunday night. So that's it for this vlog, which has prematurely ended, but I'll be back with more videos of my coming trips in 2024, and here's wishing you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I'll see you around.